Welcome to Soul Sister Stories, where we dive into profound journeys of spiritual awakening with inspiring women. I'm Rika Markel, your host on this journey. My passion is to empower you to tune into your soul's whispers by presenting you the stories of soul sisters who have dared to dream and live extraordinary lives while helping others doing the same. Hi, everyone. Today I have the honor to interview Kacie Knight. And I have to tell you guys, you're up for a treat because this is going to be one of those spiritual, amazing light worker events. Because I know, because before we went live, I didn't feel it right away. And Kacie gave me like a 2 minute, I don't know what it was, energy influx. And so I am a total new person and very ready for this conversation. Kacie, welcome to Soul Sister Stories, and we can't wait for you to share your story. So tell me a little bit more, and my audience and your audience, tell us a little bit more about who is Kacie Knight.
First off, thank you so much for having me and for creating this opportunity to speak and share and just have interesting, uplifting conversations. My favorite thing in the world to do. That's always a question that throws me because it's like, where do I even begin? I'll share who I am right now. And if you want to go back further, we can do that. But I am just on a mission right now to support the people that I call the helpers. They might be healers, light workers, star seeds, earth angels. The words don't matter, right? But the people that are here to help the planet rise in consciousness and evolve. I'm here to help them really come into a clear channel for their own soul to be fully embodied and then expressed with the world so they can do their part.
Wonderful. So I guess that it was not always that clear to you, or maybe it was, and then we want to know too. But so how did this come? How did you come to where you are today?
It was a long and winding road that didn't make sense until I had some hindsight. So
Okay.
I remember your beautiful post just this morning where you were explaining how there's two categories of people who are light leaders, and there's the ones who are the lifetime spiritual seekers that always had this connection to spirit, and other people who are awakened through a traumatic event. So
Yeah.
I was one who always had this connection to spirit, and I was actually given this mystical visionary prophecy when I was 8 years old.
Wow.
So I've been aware of my role for a very long time. But did I fully take it on board and believe it? Absolutely not. No, I tried to do everything in my power to forget about it. So I'll just share. When I say I was given a prophecy, I was actually immersed in this beautiful love light experience. And it shared with me in this very multidimensional way where I was seeing and feeling and knowing just this entire package of information at once. And it said, you're going to be a spiritual teacher. And I had these visions of like standing on stages, and I could just tell that it was supposed to be a global mission. And I'm, in my 40s, so at that time that was a really big deal. This was before the internet, so having a global reach was like you had to be famous, you had to be really well known, and that freaked me out. Even at the age of 8, I had enough of the ego trying to protect me, where I was like, no, no, I'm just a kid. Like, this isn't, I don't know what you're talking about. And with this beautiful, loving patience and this wave of warmth and peace and security and inevitability, it was like, when you're older, and I didn't get much more than that in terms of like what and how and everything like that. But it was just this energy that stayed with me in the back of my consciousness for a very long time. But I didn't tell a soul about it until I was probably in my 30s. And I just kind of put that to the side and I was like, maybe I'll be a teacher. Maybe I'll be a university professor. Maybe I'll be a social worker. Maybe I'll try these things. And I had all of these paths that I tried going down. But if I look back now, the universe was training me to have all of the keys and the codes and the information and education and experience and wisdom. You're making a lot of mistakes that I need to be able to do the work that I'm doing today.
I understand. I think that there are a lot of people out there that will definitely resonate with this story, because I know that a lot of people already got that glimpse, that whisper, that nudge from something that is bigger than them, but they just like push that away as deep as they can because they're like, how can that be? Am I going crazy? What's happening? So for all those people, this is how it goes, guys, and it is not going to stop until you surrender. And I think that you also, Kacie, like there comes a moment that you cannot hide it anymore, that you have to let it out. And so how did that happen to you? How did that happen for you?
Wasn't all at once. So that's the other thing. It doesn't happen all at once typically, and there's going to be a journey and different levels of it. But I decided that I was going to actually pursue some kind of spiritual healing and helping career and step away from my, regular person job where I was the operations manager of a dinner theater, which was a whole lifestyle. And I was like, I need to go back to school. I had a degree, but I had wound up doing this after university. And it was so much fun working in a theater and getting to be, involved in that life. But I knew that I did have to follow this pull that I had towards something more mystical, more supportive of humanity. And I thought first I was going to go to school to take a holistic healthcare practitioner degree. I actually wound up moving to the city I'm in now, and I thought it was to go to school. Turns out it was just because that's where my husband and soul family were. So I was just arranged to get there. And then I had lots of not false starts, that's the wrong word. I had lots of times where I was like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to learn. I'm going to research. I'm going to see what's out there. I trained as a doula. I took every class that I could on spirituality. And I gave myself my own, I called it like a master's degree in like spiritual understanding because the course that I was going to take didn't work out. And then I broke my ankle when I was in my late 20s. And I was just devastated because I couldn't dance. And I was like, if this is what's killing me the most, and dance had become such an important part of my life, just dancing with friends, dancing at festivals, and I would dance every day, and it was how I would worship the universe. It was my spiritual practice. When I couldn't do that, I just had this thought, maybe this is what I'm supposed to do. Maybe this is what I'm supposed to teach. And I had absolutely no attachment to that thought. I let it go because how does one become a dance professional at the age of 28? Right. So I just let it go and I healed. And then a few months later, I was presented with opportunities. One was to become an ecstatic dance facilitator. So I took that training and then I met a hula hoop as a activity and as a dance. And this is just so funny, but I took to this circle that I called my magic wand that just so happened to be a circle. And I started practicing obsessively. And very quickly, I learned how to teach and perform. And I actually created my first business, which was a mashup of teaching people like magic and mastery through movement and also performing a little bit because it was just fun to get all decked up and go and support and teach. And it was called Dancing into Being, Movement Arts and Healing. And I just mishmashed everything that I loved together. And I did that for about 7 years before the next evolution had to happen because I needed to do that. It was so important on my journey, but I still knew it wasn't the global thing. It wasn't the spiritual thing fully that I was supposed to do. But I'd be like, it's spiritual. I'm sneaking in spirituality even when I was teaching, kids in elementary school. I'm doing it right. But no, it was still knocking that bigger mission that I was given when I was young.
It's such a beautiful story because you see, it doesn't always have to be that glorious, unbelievable, shiny way in order to serve the world, in order to bring joy and in order to raise the consciousness. It can be in so many ways. And I would love to read to everybody what you wrote to me when we started this whole process of interviews for Soul Sister Stories. And so what you wrote is, I said, what is your story? And so you wrote to me, I was a secret closet mystic for years, always in touch with divine energies who told me I was supposed to be a spiritual teacher back when I was 8 years old. I have to tell you, when I read that, when you were 8 years old and you already were told what you just also told us all, I cannot imagine being 8 years old and getting that mission. That's big. And then you say, I became a professional hula hooper. You have to understand, when I read that, I'm like, what has that? But you know what? But listen, but in 2019, Spirit told me to bring my business online to hold space for spiritual women going through a massive transformation. And I'm like, wow. And then when COVID hit, I understand why I was asked to do this. So you can see that everything that is that, like you say yourself, but you sum it up so nicely here. Like everything that you did in your life, even though you were not focused on getting that spiritual path, like in the world, it just happened to you. And then you say, so you created a six-figure business as a transformational coach for spiritual women wanting to activate their voice and intuition. And guys, I want you to listen carefully here, because if you want to really activate your voice, your inner voice and intuition, I think Kacie can help you because she knows how to listen to your inner voice. Then it came from me like the most spectacular thing. You write, I created a light language course and became known for that. But I've always had my own energy clearing and activational modality that I'm teaching as well. So it blows my mind. You know, I have to tell you, a couple of months ago, I saw the first time a video, and I told you that I think when we were talking before, about light language. And I think that this is the most amazing thing. I don't know anything about it. I am so curious. I think also other people must be curious about what is light language. And I would love you to explain a little bit. What do we have to understand when we talk about light language?
The thing about light language is that it's transmission that I call a multi-dimensional communication art form. So all of my learning to help people like dance and hula hoop, I was actually honing my technique to help people channel their soul energy and express it. And this is how it all comes together. So my time as a dance teacher, my time teaching kids gymnastics, all of that, I was actually learning the skills of helping people get out of their own way, clear out all of the doubts that they have or all of those old beliefs so that they could just channel through their unique soul energy and express it. And light language is an art form, I say, because it's not a language, at least sorry, it can be a something that you can translate if you're bringing something from another planetary system. You'll hear people talk about Pleiadian light language or Arcturian or Andromedan light language, and it'll all sound the same. But my specialty, and I can channel and translate those, but my specialty is helping people unleash their soul essence and their soul expression. So their soul language that comes through, and it can be in spoken form, it can be sung, it can be toned, it can be with like hand signals, it can be danced, it can be written, it can be art. It's an electromagnetic package of information. So the electromagnetic package is thoughts and feelings that are just like put into whatever you're transmitting that someone else will feel in their body. But until their mind can understand how to interpret multidimensional data, you might not understand what it fully means. It's really meant to be felt. Just like if you look at a piece of art like this behind, there's no precise words for it, but it's evocative of feeling in your body, it's evocative of emotion, and it's going to have an experience for you. So this is what I help people do is unleash their soul energy, and it can be in light language, but then people can actually use that to then go on and speak more clearly and tell their story, for example, on a podcast or write books or things like that once they've opened this capacity for expression up through the practice of light language.
Was there any time that it looks to me, and I can be totally wrong, that everything came to you very naturally? You didn't go out and follow courses like most of us do in spiritual world. We go follow Reiki, or we become a healer, an energy healer, or we do breath work, we get certified or whatever. Like, it doesn't look to me that that was your path. It looks to me more like you just knew.
It's a both and thing for me. There's a lot of things that I have learned very naturally. For example, light language. And by the way, if you're interested, I can give people an example of it. But I just heard someone else speak light language, and that was like just a soul remembering. And I was like, oh, I can do that. And I have had a lot of things naturally come through because I am a channel. I'll just get downloads. I always have just known things. But I'm also an avid studier, researcher. I have become, an ordained creation coach, elemental priestess. I have done all the breath work. I have taken so many different courses, Reiki master, done lots of different modalities. I am a belief repatterning practitioner. I I like to alchemize. So I will take what people are teaching, if it resonates with me, I'll take what really works for me, and then I will weave it into something that feels like truth for me. But I also have my own practices that have come through as well. I mean,
Yeah, it doesn't feel like you are using anything that, like you say, you take pieces and parts out of everything that you learned and you make it your own. Because it doesn't feel like you are, there's no label that I can put on you. It's like, what is she? Is she where? And it doesn't matter. This is what I just love, 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 because there is no such thing as putting labels, because it's all stories. Like when you say I am a breathwork coach or whatever, then that's you limit yourself. Like you put yourself in a box by saying that. And I tried a couple of times to make you say something like, what are you? And it doesn't come, because that's not who you are. You are a mix of all kind of flavors, which is so interesting. Again, like, I think for my generation, I shouldn't talk for other people, but for me, it's like I'm raised to put everything in boxes. And I hated that, because I feel like there is no such thing. But because of my upbringing, be clear. What are you? What are you doing? What's your plan? And so you are just that free flow person, which is very inspiring. And also, I guess that you don't even know when you start working with somebody where you're going to end up. It's like, which is perfect.
I have a pretty good idea of where we'll go. You know, it might sound like I have a lot of free flow, and I do. I have a Sagittarius stellium. I love freedom. I love all of that, but I also am a really big fan of having structures and containment to hold that. I am a very big proponent of having wholeness, which is the structure and the flow, right? The intuition and the analytical piece. It's the yes and also piece. And I work a lot with everything. So thank you for feeling that and sensing that. It's a pain as a business owner because I can do so many things. And it's like, what is my messaging? How am I going to share? But my training as a priestess and a coach 15, 20 years ago was about the unified field and working with all of the different elements that exist within all of us in the entire world. Because once you understand that, you understand creation, but it's not really niche and it is hard to
Oh,
define.
no,
So I use
I
different
get
words all the
that.
time.
And I think that this is something that I want to change with all the interviews that I do. It's also what I got from the universe. Like, you're going to have people show up on your interviews that are different than what we are used to. And that is why we are doing this, because there are so many people out there that need the guidance. And I don't mean that they need guidance. I don't mean it in a way that they're lost. I mean it in a way that there are people like you, and I see it from my own clients too, that just need a little push or a little encouragement, or just to hear, no, you're not crazy. This is good. Oh, you got it. Come on, let's go. Because they're used to hear in their environment that they're crazy and this is not real and what are you doing? So that's why it's so important that they get that encouragement, that they hear the stories like somebody like you that are fully embodying that flow, that being one with the universe, understanding how the universe is built. We are built in the image of our creator. We are creators. And we forget that sometimes that we are creators. And so we just need that little nudge. And people like you are extremely well positioned to help others. So now I would like to talk about how do you help people? So who are the people that, let's first ask you, who are the people that come to you? Who finds you?
Yeah, the ones that find me are typically people who have a similar story to me but they might have not been awake their whole life. I have a lot more people who come to me who had that wake up after a traumatic event, and they have this sense that they're magical and they're supposed to do something more. They might be working, regular job, but they want to make that leap into being a light worker, healer, teacher, whatever it happens to be, where they're fully devoted to service and they don't know how. They've usually, the people that come to me, they're not noobs. They're not beginners. I'm not teaching like this is what your third eye does. This is not the work that I do. It's people that have a lot of intellectual knowledge. They've done lots of studying, but they still feel like they're missing something and they don't know it's the embodiment. They don't know it's the practice. They don't know it's that energy, but I put the pieces together for people. I help bridge people from knowing that they're magical to actually feeling it and accessing all of their intuitive soul gifts, their clarity, their purpose, their essence. We get to unleash that together. And I do it by helping people clear out the stuff that's not them. And we have to do it on all levels and layers. So there's so many like just mindset coaches. Yeah, I'm a mindset coach, but I'm going to help you with your body and your heart and your actions and your soul and your other pieces too, right? We can't leave any part of you behind. And then I'll help people with the pieces of expression that need to come forward as well in terms of their voice or their essence. So sometimes we dance, sometimes we're making noise, right? It's about that first clearing it away so your soul can shine and then being it. And then sometimes I help them learn modalities and techniques that then they can use. Like I'll teach my energy clearing and activation modality to them, and then go on and be like, and this is how you coach, and this is how you can facilitate transformational retreats and journeys and meditations. So I like to bring people through the process of feeling like they are stuck, kind of not fully being themselves, into the full embodiment of their soul energy so they can fly.
So when I understand it correctly, when people feel like they are on the verge of changing their life, like they want to jump, but they feel like a little afraid, which is normal. If you're not afraid, you're going, like my mentor, Bob Proctor, he would say, if you're not afraid, you're going in the wrong direction. So when you go for your real passion for what your soul is whispering in your ear, what you want to do, it is so good to have somebody helping you, somebody holding your hands. I hear you say that those are the people that you love working with and that you can really help them hold their hands and make them step into the unknown and be true to who they really are, which is so beautiful. There's so many, I get like goosebumps when I say things like that because there's nothing more powerful than helping somebody. I get all emotional when I say things like that, but there's nothing more powerful in the world to help somebody step into their own power because that is what raises the vibration of the world. And that is how we are going to heal from so much. Like if everybody would understand that you have to step into your power, a lot of stuff that goes on in this world right now would not be there, and it would then it would be heaven on earth. So I love
That's
that.
always my goal,
Love that.
is to reconnect people to source energy and their soul energy, because it would solve all the problems, because everybody's got the solutions, right, to their own little piece of the puzzle. And when we can reconnect people to their power, then they can just go and work in whatever field it's going to be. They might be working in medical sciences or technologies or environmental cleanup or working with animals, working with education. Like everybody's
Doesn't
got a
matter.
piece that
Yeah.
they're focusing on. So this is absolutely my goal as well, is just to help people bridge into that remembering. And it is a remembering, but my favorite thing to do is, because it is terrifying, but I know it doesn't have to be, is to take people into these embodied experiences where they are so reconnected to source energy, to the earth, to their own heart, to the divine, that the fear evaporates.
Yeah.
The fear absolutely dissolves. And they go, oh, I actually have everything I need. And if I don't have it, it will come to me. And it just gives this, I want to say, just this lightness to it all. And we get to have fun with it instead of hanging out in the energy of I can't and it's so scary and I don't know how. We can reconnect with, I think, what is our birthright. It's the frequency of abundance and possibility, that all of
100%.
the traumas and dramas of life that have made us shut down and feel like we can't actually be safe in opening to that. We just have to get rid of that stuff and then practice living from this place of openness,
Yeah.
possibility, and power.
Yeah. And more people are open to this. Like more and more people realize that the way they live today is totally like almost an enslavement. Like they are not, we're so programmed to stay in our little boxes, and there's so much bliss out there. I would love to talk to you forever. Like, it's like so inspiring, but I think we should round of the conversation. I would love to ask you, like, if there is one thing, and we're gonna come to where people can find you in a minute. So stay with us because we're gonna tell you how you can work with Kacie. But if there's one thing that you would like to share with humanity, like not even with the people that are watching, but like just in general, like with humanity, what would you want to share? What is it that you want to say?
If you're having fun, you're doing it right. And if it's not fun, find some way to make it fun, because we're taking it all way too seriously. And it is serious, it's serious work, but we have to bring a little of that Mary Poppins energy in and use a little spoonful of sugar to help with the process. And every conversation I have with spirit when we're being too serious, they say literally, lighten up. And that just doesn't mean like become enlightened, but we can't access all of our creativity, our intuition, all of our magic from this feeling of heaviness. So when we bring in the fun, the levity, when we don't take it too seriously, it helps us open into seeing all the possibilities. So like this
Uh,
is the easiest way to get the work done. So let's have more fun with it.
That's a great message. Don't make it too heavy. Have more fun. Fun is a key to a lot of solutions for sure. Have more fun. I love it. All right. So I think you're having a couple of things in the pipeline. You want to explain short what it is that you are working on right now, and then I will put links to whatever people want to know, but just share with us what is it that you are putting out in the world at this moment?
One piece I'd like to share is that if people are curious about the light language, I do have a easy workshop that will help you remember yours for $11. It's just available to help you unlock your soul expression. It's a 90-minute workshop that's super fun. And that is something I think people are curious about. And the light language, by the way, if you're like, what are you talking about? Can I just share like one teeny bit?
Yeah, of course. Be my guest.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I
I'm in. Yeah,
I can just feel people are like, but what is it? But
yeah,
what is it?
yeah. Go ahead.
What are you talking about?
Absolutely.
Just take a breath and receive with your mind, just being a witness. You don't have to try to figure out what it says, but you might receive something. So, this is what my soul wants to say to you without the English words and with just energy. Tekiash. Vekinas tekir idina ake. Naritish kedia. Tatiri nikayate. Taki atapo. If you can breathe that in and receive it, your body felt something from it, most likely. And it might be, ew, I don't like her. This is the fastest way for people to understand if they want to hang out with me, if they want to work with me, if they're part of my soul family, right? If there's this resonance in your body, you're like, oh, yes, please. That is so easy for people to tune into and feel.
It is amazing. I just got I got a message, which is
Oh,
very cool. It's really beautiful. Thank you so much for this. I'm going to go and take that thing out and listen to it again because this is so beautiful. And I will share the message that I got. But the bottom line is that it tells me not to be afraid, which is big. It's very big.
mhm.
Thank you for that. Thank you so much. Guys, you wanna you you wanna reach out to Kacie because this is really cool stuff. Cool. Very cool. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you
you're
so
so
much.
welcome. And that's always the message my soul is sharing. Like, hey, you actually you remember, so you don't have to worry. This is such a big part of the work that I do is helping with that soul remembering. And the bigger program that I am launching right now that I'm realizing was the missing piece was all of the clearing and healing and activation work that people need to be able to really have the confidence and clarity to share their voice and go out and be, the healer, teacher, facilitator, or whatever it is they need to be. So this is called the Lightwork Prep Course, and it's a 5-month immersion into clearing all of the old stuff that probably isn't even ours from all of our different levels and layers. Some are collective, some are Akashic, some are from childhood, some are ancestral, some are who knows why. We don't even have to get into the why, but we clear out that stuff, the wounding, like the lightworker persecution complex and the witch wound and the sisterhood wound and all of these beautiful things that are in the way of us fully living our truth and showing up and shining. But we also do fun activations of our soul gifts. I work with light body activations, DNA activations, and help people connect to the magic that's available to them, and also give practices so that we can actually expand and stabilize our energy so we can hold more of everything, our soul energy, abundance, responsibility, all of these things. Because if you want to step up and do your soul work, you have to be strong and clear enough to hold it. So that's what this prep course is all about.
I love it. It's really beautiful. And thank you so much. Like, this was such an amazing gift. You guys, check it out. I am going to finish this conversation for today, but I'm inspired and I think that these conversations are part of us helping elevate the energy in the world, and I truly believe that. So please, if you resonate with what Kacie said, check her out. The links will be below this video, and I will see you guys next time. So next week we have another soul sister story coming up, and I hope to see you then. Thank you for joining us. If our journey today resonated with you, please consider subscribing and liking this video to support our growing community. For more insights and resources, be sure to check the links in the description below. They're filled with valuable information and support to guide you on your spiritual path. Remember, your soul's journey is unique and magnificent. Stay connected, keep exploring, and let's continue this journey together in our next episode. Until then, keep listening to the whispers of your soul and embrace the life of your dreams.